How to help your partner if he or she suffers from anxiety. If your partner suffers from anxiety, it is important to learn some strategies to be supportive in times of crisis. Discover some tips. You are probably looking for tools to help her. Unfortunately, this condition can be the starting point of uncomfortable moments for the relationship. And, when sustained over time, this disorder causes a domino effect that spreads to the rest of the environment. What can you do? To begin with, it is convenient to determine the level of anxiety and what consequences it is causing in the couple. This in order to determine whether professional help is required. Also, there are some simple but important actions that can make a difference. Discover them in this video, and do not forget to subscribe and activate notifications for future videos. You can also leave your opinion in the comments. What is anxiety and how is it expressed? It is important to understand the complexity, but also the everydayness of anxiety. This condition involves an intricate response at multiple levels of activation: behavioral, physiological, cognitive, and affective. However, this is not reserved for unusual situations, but is a common currency that can occur on a day-to-day basis. In particular, it is a state of mind that is triggered by an emotion that is oriented towards the future, focusing on the uncontrollability and unpredictability of the future. Physiological symptoms: increased heart rate, breathing difficulties or chest pain, sweating, stomach pain, among others. Cognitive symptoms: fear of going crazy, hypervigilance, difficulty concentrating, distractibility, confusion. Affective symptoms: nervousness, fear and restlessness, impatience. Behavioral symptoms: avoidance of threatening situation, flight. Causes of anxiety. When speaking of anxiety as something complex and multifaceted, we cannot ignore the fact that its causes are also diverse. In this sense, when initiating its professional approach, it is worthwhile to identify the antecedents or conditions that may have led to anxiety or associated disorders. Some of the most frequent causes of anxiety are the following: stressful situations, leading a lifestyle of hurry, little rest, and unhealthy. Traumatic situations, psychological vulnerability, which implies not only the perception of threat, but also that the person does not feel able to cope with it. Can anxiety affect the couple's relationship? When the couple suffers from anxiety, it is normal to fear for the stability of the relationship. In a way, it is a mood-altering condition that can affect problems. However, it all depends on the level at which it occurs. Thus, there is a form of anxiety that is catalogued as healthy and functional, since it serves to activate and motorize projects. Meanwhile, if it is exaggerated, it keeps the mind on constant alert and paralyzes it due to the anguish it causes. In fact, those who suffer from this problem tend to present personality characteristics such as perfectionism, demandingness, rigidity, nervousness, among others. As a result, not only their romantic relationship is damaged, but also their relationships with others, study, work, friendships, etc. Useful tips to support an anxious partner. Knowing how to react to anxiety crises of one of the partners is crucial to avoid problems or situations that affect the bond. In the following space, we detail some recommendations. Listen. Listen and show empathy. Try to accompany by asking how he or she feels, what you can do to offer help. The most important thing is that you can communicate or maintain the dialogue. Do not minimize their concerns. That is, it is advisable to avoid comments such as "there are worse things, you shouldn't worry about that." These expressions trivialize their discomfort, instead of giving them the space they need to be able to express themselves and ask for help. Be patient. This can be difficult, especially when anxiety starts to affect your day-to-day life. Despite this, be aware that changes take time. For this reason, respect the time and avoid pressuring. Avoid trigger comments. Some expressions, apparently harmless, can turn out to be real triggers of anxiety. For example, A simple comment referring to punctuality: if you don't leave now, you will be very late for that appointment. Participate in treatment. Try to get involved in some way in your partner's treatment if he or she is suffering from anxiety. There are very simple measures, but they can bring a lot of relief. For example, helping with exercises or moments of relaxation during the day. Another way to collaborate is to try to reduce in smaller tasks those projects or activities that you have together. Thus, they become more manageable and can be crossed off the list so that there is satisfaction for the accomplishment. In other words, it makes the future less uncertain and the present more organized. Avoid overprotecting. Last but not least, keep in mind that being a supporter for the partner who suffers from anxiety does not mean that you should treat him or her as glass. There are decisions that you can make without consultation, and in this way, you can contribute to calm. However, there are other issues that require a decision as a couple, and avoiding them in order not to generate anguish leads to an overprotection that invalidates and undermines self-esteem. It is necessary to know how to choose the moments to talk about certain subjects, but to talk at the end of the day. Help is also shared. While it is true that there are certain measures you can take to help your partner with anxiety, it is also important to recognize your limits. There are certain discomforts that cannot be solved behind closed doors, and that require the accompaniment of a professional. Otherwise, there is a risk that the person you care for will become ill or develop an anxiety condition of his or her own. For this same reason, it is necessary to find one's own space for self-care. I hope this information helps you, and if so, leave your like and share to help more people.